Bueno, tuve una idea loca, por así decirlo, y ahora estoy acá, después de haber tomado una decisión que llevaba mucho tiempo craneando, mucho tiempo pensando, y al final se dio la oportunidad de traer a alguien a un podcast, lo cual me hacía mucha ilusión. Y el día de hoy me encuentro con Vincent, en un momento ya lo voy a presentar. Y cabe destacar que este podcast va a ser en inglés, pero pondré subtítulos obviamente, así que eso. Espero que lo disfruten, espero que aprendan y espero que se deleiten con esta calidad de audio profesional. So here we are. I'm here with my friend Vincent. How are you going, mate?
I'm good, man. Great to be here.
Yeah. I'm actually excited about this because I met you a few days ago. I met you in a hostel a few days ago. And since the moment that I started to talk with you, I realized that there was too many stuff to talk about that, you know. So, yeah, really happy to have you here now. Let's have a chat. Let's hear your story. Let's see who you are. Where are you from? Actually, where are you from, mate? Let's introduce yourself.
Let's start it off with the basic roots. So I come from Sweden. I hail from the north of Europe. Come from a very cold land. Like, we were used to a lot of minus degrees, like 6 months of darkness, you know. The kind of temperature that really makes you want to just leave,
get out,
in a way, And I feel like that was probably some of the first reasons that really made me think I gotta go and see what's in the world. Like, there's gotta be more than this, than just
But you have been overseas before, right? Before Australia.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've been traveling now for I've done a couple trips and stuff like that. So maybe first now I've been away for 6 months, about just doing a little backpacking in Europe.
All right.
Headed through tiny bits of Asia before I landed here. But I've done some traveling before that as well, my friend, you know. It started from a kind of early age where my parents showed me different places in America, Florida, you know. And we went there and built this kind of love for just seeing the world and opening up your view, which led to us actually living in Florida for 3 years.
So you live in the USA for 3 years, right?
Yeah, for 3 years. And it was a very big cultural shock, you know.
Yeah, I hope so.
Coming from Europe into that, man.
Yeah. So now you're basically traveling around the world. But I gotta say, he's 21 years old now, right?
Yeah, 21.
When are you turning 22?
Ooh, so in January next year.
January,
yeah.
All right.
Early bloomer, you know.
Well, so you've been traveling a lot since you were 18, 19?
Since 18 about,
18.
yeah. I started doing some travels with my brother. We went away for 2 months, you know.
All right.
I actually went to a course in high school where it was about hotels and tourism. All and every year we had this thing where you can go away for 2 months and work overseas.
2 months. All right.
And me and my brother, we decided we know some people in Florida. We're just gonna, you know, take it off. Basically, we're not gonna work there at that time. Sure. We went away. We lived there with a friend for about 2 months. You know, just having a great time. And I feel like that really opened up, testing the waters, where I felt this is pretty manageable.
You started thinking I like this stuff. You know,
it's you don't need that safety net in a way, where a lot of people might be, I only take resort vacations, you know, stay at the hotel, this kind of stuff, you know, and do the classical touristy things.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're missing out on so much of the actual culture and the deeper levels of the people when you do it that way. And we started going to maybe some lesser well-known neighborhoods, you know, whatever. Maybe a little bit shady at times, you know, when you went for some snacks late at night, you know. And you're ooh. I like this kind of challenge in a way, you know.
All right. So, which one was the first country that you visited?
In my entire life?
When you decided to start traveling,
The first one I went to was actually Czech Republic. I went to
or
Prague.
in Europe,
you know?
basically.
Yeah, in Europe. I decided because it's such a short distance between everything there. You can take a flight for an hour in Europe.
It's quite cheap to travel across Europe, right? You can catch the train or get on a plane.
Exactly. It's mainly built on trains and buses, you know, very easy to get across. It's because I know you come from Chile, which is a very big country, you know, the distance there.
It looks like a snake, you know. If you look at the map, it looks like a snake.
Yeah,
it's very long and all that stuff. Yeah.
But at least you don't have to go left or right. It's just straight up
you
or
go
down.
straight up, straight down.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah, and but like there you have like such a long distance, you know. Maybe it would take a long time to get from one place to the other.
Yeah, usually, for example, from my city, I live in the south of Chile. So if I want to get to the main city, let's say Santiago, for example, I gotta take a bus, and I could be there in 8 hours, 9 hours.
Oh.
Of course, if I got the plane, I can get there in 1.5 hours, and that's it.
No,
but I live pretty far from the main city, you know.
Yeah, no, it reminds me a little bit of back home in Sweden, you know, like before I started doing all this traveling, we did a lot inside the country, like just, you know, hiking. We would go up to, like once a year we would go up, like starting when I was like 18. To above like the polar circle about and do like a few camping there for a week, just walk around and all this stuff, and it took like 9 hours as well just to get up there, and you're just sitting in the car the whole time, like, are we there yet? What's going on? And I had some crazy survival stories up there, man.
Oh, really?
Like that. Oh, we me and my brother and a friend, we were like in the middle of winter, like we didn't really have anything to do, you know, because it's winter. So we decided, why don't we just head up to the biggest waterfall in Sweden? See if we. It
doesn't sound risky at all.
No. My mom was like, "You sure about this?" I was like, "Don't worry about it. I'll be fine," you know.
Yeah.
So we decided, fuck it, we'll get some beers, you know, we'll get some food. We go up, take our tents, do a little camping.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was about 18.
18, all
right. At that, yeah. So like early stages, basically, you know.
Yeah.
And so we went up there, you know, 9-hour drive about. And we arrive at like, it gets dark very early. For those who don't know, like in Sweden during that time, and up north, it gets dark at around like 2 o'clock, you know, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, you told me that last night, that usually in winter, am I wrong?
No, winter. Yeah, in winter, yeah.
Yeah, you get like a few hours of sunlight, and then it's basically night the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. It's
like you go hiking, you go to the supermarket, like do grocery shopping on night.
Oh yeah, basically at night. Yeah, it's like up north you can even get like entire darkness for 24 hours at winter solstice, you know. That is why I'm so pale.
Yeah, you're a little bit pale, man.
Yeah, man.
So what about the waterfall?
So we come up there like maybe it was 3 o'clock at that time, and it's already dark at this
afternoon,
point.
Right?
Oh yeah, afternoon. And it's like a 1 hour trek just to get there. So we walk for like an hour. We get there, we start setting up the tents, moving away the snow. Because it's like, imagine a tiny little square platform of wood. And the waterfall is right there. Like, this is where you stand to look up on it. And we're like, you know, we'll just take away some snow, it'll be fine. So we do that, put up the tents. And we start thinking to ourselves, it's like, it's 5 o'clock. We have no alcohol left. What do we do? So we're like, we'll just go to sleep, I guess, you know, nothing else. So we just go to the tents and try to sleep for a few hours, you know, I think until 1 o'clock or something like that. And during the whole time of that, it was like Chinese water torture, you know, like, because there's like tiny layers of snow just dripping down on my head, you know, the whole time.
It hurts a little bit.
Oh, it does. Like at the same spot over time, you start going a little bit crazy almost in a way. And my feet, I could not feel a thing. My hands, they were shaking, you know. And I lay there and it's like, check the time, it's 1 o'clock. Like I've fallen in and out of sleep, like barely being able to get any proper. And I think to myself, it's like, if I stay here during this night, I'm going to be dead, you know. Like I will not survive this. Like it's just like survival instinct that kicks in at that point, you know. Because it's like, the snow outside is up to our knees about, just covering the entire place. And it's a little ravine because it's a waterfall. So they have like these rocks falling down on the side.
Yeah, it's way risky, right?
Oh yeah, it's like they have warnings for it, but not super dangerous. But you can still hear these big boulders just falling down, you know.
Damn.
Yeah, you have that in the back of the head, you know. Like, oh, I might be a pancake. I might get smashed, you know. No, so I'm like, guys, we gotta get out of here. Like, there's no way I'm staying here tonight. Like, I don't want my mom to have to go to my funeral next week, you know. So I get all the guys together, you know, like, and one of our friends, he has been laying there sleeping the entire time. no problems at all, you know. He's like a bear in winter, you know. He's hibernating.
Oh, he was so used to that.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what it is. I think he's just like a heavy sleeper or something like that. And I have to like poke him, like really like just wake up, you know.
Wake
like
the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, man, we gotta get out. He's like, oh, what's going on? We're leaving. So like we pack up all our stuff, you know, go back for like an hour trek, like in just complete darkness. You barely can see anything, you know, just follow the foot tracks basically left from before. And we get back to the car, like this RV, like a house car basically. And we start like taking off the socks, you know, the mittens and all that. And we see it's like a purple tint on the like the hands and the feet, almost in a way, where it's just like levels of frostbite.
Yeah.
Like not quite there, but like it would have been there, you know.
Yeah.
I would have come home with a pirate hook after that, because I would have needed to amputate it almost, you know.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about that, a few months later we went again. Like that was, to me, a great experience.
Oh, you liked it?
Oh, I loved it, you know. Like most people might
I almost
like,
died, but I liked it.
Exactly, yeah. Kind of like messed up, but a lot of people might be like, oh, I'm never doing this again. I liked the challenge of it, you know.
Yeah.
Because it was a certain bit of like primal sense, like back to like basically like 40,000 years old to our ancestors, you know, like when they were hunting, camping out in the woods, you know, like just not thinking about any of the modern necessities, if you will, like no thoughts about social media, you know, any
just
the
phone.
Exactly. Just like living in the moment, you know.
Yeah. But that's like very traditional from Sweden, right? I mean, for example, in Chile, people used to hike, to go hiking and camping and that stuff. But I gotta recognize that in most parts of Europe, people is very used to go hiking, very used to go fishing, very used to go camping for, let's say, 1 week or that stuff. So when you're a child, you get used to the nature, you get used to the wilderness and all the stuff. So for you, I mean, for example, last night we were talking about going to the mountain, go camping at the top of the mountain. Probably you're going to see that in a few weeks.
We're coming up next week with that one.
But yeah, and you said, oh, we can make a fire. I know how to make a fire. But dude, I don't know how to make a fire.
Oh, really?
For example, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to make a fire. So, and you said, no, I can make with this kind of wood, and we can make a fire at the top, just a little bit. And I was like, dude, I don't know how to make a fire. So I suppose that if you are a child in Europe, let's take Europe, for example, your parents raise you with a lot of knowledge, basically, about the wilderness, about survival experiences and that stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like outdoors life is a very big part, especially like because Sweden is kind of different in that way, where our country has 70% nature.
Right.
Not very common in maybe Russia might get that, but otherwise, no, not really. And so you're surrounded by it wherever you go. All the cities you will be in, everywhere you look, you'll just have mountains and woods surrounding the entire thing, like as far as the eye can see. So when I was little, for example, we lived on, it was like a big piece of forest just surrounding our place, you know, and I have many brothers and one sister as well, and I'm the youngest. We would always be out playing, you know, in the woods, you know, building forts, whatever, and you pick it up at an early stage, like the love for nature. And also, like, usually, like, you know, fishing trips, camping, all this stuff is like a form of bonding as well, you know, like getting closer to your family or friends, you know, so it has like two purposes as well. One, a great, like, survival thing and, like, survival and like just a fun pastime, and also like just getting closer to the people, you know, like them learning you how to do it, you know, like teaching on to the next generation in a way, if you will. Yeah, that's kind of what I like about like when you meet other people, like when we're talking, like teaching you how to make a fire, for example, you know, and you can pass that on to somebody else, you know, and it becomes like this circle.
Like a cycle.
Because it's like, have you heard that saying, for example, give a man a fish and he will be fed for a day, and teach him how to fish, and, you know, he'll be fed for the rest of his life, basically, you know. I think it's important to every person you meet, like, to give out this kind of knowledge, you know, and don't let it like die out in a way.
Yeah, that's right. For example, when I came to Australia 3 years ago, and I didn't know anything about outdoor or hiking, camping, and that stuff.
Yeah.
And I went back to Chile, let's say 8 months ago, and I spent most of the time in my city surroundings, And then I discovered that I really like to go hiking. I really like to go camping and all the stuff. I got like all my equipment, like shoes, hiking boots, and all the stuff. And now the only thing I want to do here in Australia is basically go hiking, man. You know? But I'm 22 now, and I discovered it when I was like 21.
But still, never too
I still
late.
got time, but it's crazy because, for example, let's say if you're a teenager in Chile, you're used to go to parties, let's go to the bush or something like that. But for example, what's a traditional party for you if you are a teenager in Sweden?
Okay, so it's like a lot of house parties, stuff like that. Because, like I told you, when it gets dark, people are like, there's not that many options for things to do. So usually, like, everybody gathers at somebody's, like, let's say, apartment, house, whatever. And you get a few drinks going, like, of course, going clubbing and, like, bars is popular as well. But I feel like the main, like, gathering, let's say, it's like just at the house, a house party in a way, where everybody just can sit and talk, play some music and that kind of thing. Especially because, like, the drinking limit is 18, and most people start drinking quite young, to be honest.
Same. In Chile,
like 14, something like that, Little shit, little stupid kids, kind of thing. And, not too much, but, like, during winter time, it can get a little, like, excessive, let's say.
All right.
Yeah.
So now I would like to talk about traveling, because I told you I'm from Chile, and in Chile, usually if you're like 20, 18, 19, the basic plan is like going to uni, going to the institute or something. And for example, you're a dropout, same as me, So I was wondering if we can talk a little bit about your experience by leaving school, by started traveling on your own, because you're traveling on your own, right?
Yeah.
Same as me. Because, it's quite interesting, and I want to people know that it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's possible,
Oh,
because a lot of people in Chile have told me, like, dude, I really want to go overseas. I really want to discover the whole world and that stuff, but I don't have time. I don't have money. Oh, my parents, they are not going to allow me to travel on my own. Or I'm a little bit afraid of something, like weird stuff. But I think you have felt the same as me, because when I was like 18, I came here when I was 19, and I was like, all right, I want to go. I saved the money up, I started working when I was like 16. I used to sell like candies and lollies at my high school.
Yeah, a little hustling.
Yeah, hustling. Like, all right, chocolate, all right, donuts.
Just like open up the trench coat,
that's it. And then I saved up all that money, and I worked for 1 year after school. And then I decided to come to Australia. I was thinking about Canada at the first stage, but then I decided to come to Australia. But many people in Chile is thinking that traveling across the whole world is way dangerous and way hard, But what are your thoughts about it?
So me personally, I feel people are too caught up on the hows and whys instead of the doing part,
Yeah.
They always think like, oh, I cannot do this because I don't have a lot of money. I have these things at home. I was at the same, I didn't have any like stable job really. Like before I left, I was just a gardener basically for just this older couple, helping them out.
That's how you save money for traveling, right?
Exactly. And I left with my first trip now through Europe. I had maybe 2,000 or something like that,
Euros.
Euros about. And, it can get very expensive in Europe, but you learn to pick up how to like save money on food. You cook it yourself. Finding these hostels, you meet people on the way, who can help you out because you form like almost this weird family almost in a way with the people because this group of different travelers from all around the world that if you weren't traveling, you would never meet, And I would say to the people in Chile, who's listening, I would say definitely like don't think about like how you're gonna do this. Just decide, okay, I'm gonna save up a little bit money. I'm just gonna pick a place, you know, like Australia, for example. And just get the visa, like a working visa, so you can actually make some money while you're traveling, and just go and do it.
That's what you're doing now, right?
Yeah, exactly. I came here now because I kind of run out of money at this point, you know. So now I'm gonna do a work here for 6 months, you know, like just save up, you know, so I can continue through Asia and Latin America.
So basically, your plan is not to stay here in Australia.
Not long term, no.
Right, so you just came to Australia, save a little bit of money, and then keep traveling.
Exactly. It's like, because it's like I was telling you, like the opportunities are everywhere. You just have to keep your eye open, you know. Because when you look in one direction, you miss like the other road that might lead you to the place that you need to be taken. It might take longer, might be harder, you know, might be hills, might be, you know, rocks in the way or whatever, but you will get there in the end. You just gotta have this like, this spirit of not giving up, you know, like
that's right.
No matter how tough it gets, you just have to keep on persevering, you know. And that's what I've been doing. Like trust me, like there's been times where I've been like, things are not going that well at the moment, you know, like thinking maybe I should go back, maybe I messed up, you know. But every time I have that voice, an even stronger voice in the back of my head comes up like, you cannot give up. Are you weak? What are you, like you're a coward, you know, whatever?
If you travel overseas, you're going to discover like a huge part of yourself that you didn't know that exists, basically. That's my example. Because, for example, when I came from Chile, I was 19. I was going through a lot of anxiety, you know. I was feeling anxious a lot. And after that, I started becoming like bigger, you know. Like I was, all right, my position now, it's way different to the one that I was before coming to Australia. Definitely.
Oh, yeah, like it's a personal growth, I would imagine as well.
Yeah, it's like personal growth. And now, for example, we were talking yesterday night and you were saying, for example, how many languages do you speak now?
So right now, like, this might be cheating in a little bit, but like because Swedish, for the people who don't know, there's 3 countries in Scandinavia who has very similar languages.
All right.
So because I speak Swedish, I can understand the other 2. Like Norwegian and Danish as well, and have a conversation with them. But I'll count that as one, to be fair.
Right.
You know,
All right.
So for me right now, it's English, Swedish, little bit of German that I start picking up, you know. And now I want to move on to learn Spanish as well.
All right.
Just to help out with the traveling.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you told me you want to go to South America as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the most important part when you're in somebody else's country is like learning the customs so you can communicate with them, you know. It could just be a few words like thank you, hello, whatever. But you can see it on their expression, you know, like how much they appreciate you, like taking the time to learn their language, you know, and just the communication will be much better, you know.
Yeah, that's right. So when I came, I was like, all right, I'm going to learn English. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult to find a job, for example, at the beginning without the language. It's really, really hard. I got to recognize it. But now, 2022, I'm like, all right, I already can speak English. I'm ready with that. I'm done with that. So what's the next one?
Exactly.
Like, what's the next one? So yeah, you grow a lot. You learn a lot of things. And you actually want to keep learning a lot. It's like, what else can I find over there, you know?
It's like, it reminds me of this great saying. It's like, kill the boy and become the man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, everybody has that still in them, you know, like the little child, where it's like the nervousness of it all, you know. But you have to just conquer your fears, like anything like that. If it stands in your way, you have to, even though, because bravery, what is bravery really? It's like, it's not being scared. Bravery is overcoming fear. You cannot have bravery without being like fearful of the situation, you know. And yeah, no, a lot of people I would imagine in Chile as well might be looking, there's like, I might have grown too big for this pond, you know, like I need to go out and test it, but I don't know how to do it, you know. And I would recommend like, don't think too much about which work you get. Just get anything and just like live as sheepily as you can for like maybe a few months, whatever. And just
we're living in a hostel now.
Yeah. We're
that's a really good example.
Yeah, like we're just hustling at the moment, you know, like just trying to make do week by week almost in a way, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't have that security right now, you know, like anything could happen. Like, for example, me, like I'm waiting for this work now, you know, I can wait for like a month maybe until I can start working. And I'm thinking like, how will I manage this, you know, I might not be able to pay for rent or whatever until I get this, you know, but there's always something you can do, like, for example, dishwashing or whatever, make some little money on the way, you know. So that stress, there's always a solution to it, you know.
Yeah, that's right, man. So you basically stay in Brisbane for a while, and as you say, you're waiting to get a job in Darwin, right?
Yeah, so they have their office in Brisbane. That's why I came here to begin with. I met this, luckily, you know, like the path of traveling, you know.
Yeah, that's right. You met a guy in Bali.
In Bali, on the first night as well, you know. I was just out, you know, having a beer at the bar. I started talking to this guy, and it was like, because I was nice to him, you know, we had a good conversation, we kind of clicked, you know. He's like, by the way, we just fired some people, you know, at this mine, basically. Laying out like asphalt, tar, whatever, you know. And we're looking for some new people. Would you be interested, you know?
And you were like, oh, holy shit, yeah.
How can I say no to this, you know? Yeah. It's like God almost placed it in my lap in a way, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, if you go and speak to strangers, you know, showing a little bit of kindness, it can lead a long way. Like, there's been many moments where maybe some guy, where a lot of people think like, oh, it seems, I don't know if I want to talk to him, you know, I don't want to be open, I just want to kind of be with my group that I know. And you miss out on so many opportunities, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so many people, like, I have connections all across the world, you know, like, just during this time, you know, like, no matter where I go almost, there's always some guy there who I can meet up with, you know, who's like, oh, yeah, you come stay at my place, you know, whatever, you know.
Let's go to a podcast.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, just like this, you know, perfect example. And if I just lived in Sweden, I would not have this, you know. I would just have my friend circle, my family, you know,
going
and all
to
that
uni.
stuff. Going to uni,
working a little bit. Getting your house, and that's it.
And it's like, imagine that, like, during these years now that I've just been traveling and doing this stuff, like, where would I have been in life if I was just studying at the moment, you know? I would still be sitting there, like, still in classes, no experiences, you know?
I have asked that question to myself a lot of times, man. Many times.
Like, where would I be, basically?
Yeah.
And it's like, you see, like, for example, yourself, you see what you have accomplished so far, you know, like, you took that big step, you went to Australia, you know, and would you say it's paid off good so far?
Holy shit. Yeah. Yeah, I have learned a lot. I'm thinking about going to Europe. I've told you, my biggest dream is to go to Europe. So now I feel more capable of going to Europe. I got contacts already there.
Yeah.
I'm learning some, you know, Portuguese and that stuff as well on the side. I can speak basic words in Swedish, like minnerunskriften, mean broder, hey, and all this stuff.
Yeah, we're getting there, you know.
Yeah. So let's make a pause because we need to replace the battery of the camera. Otherwise, we're not going to keep filming. So
sounds good, man.
Let's see you in a few seconds.
Take care, man.
So here we are again.
Back again.
Back again, man.
Top of our prime.
Yeah. So we were talking about Bali. About you're gonna stay here for how many months are you gonna stay here?
So like my end plan for this, so like right now I see this as a recovery kind of a sort, you know, because I've been like traveling now, like the money is starting to run out, and Australia is the perfect base for like just being able to stop in the middle and be able to catch up a little bit, make some money, get a little relaxation if you want, because like the regular tempo of traveling is quite like hectic, you know, like especially like when I was in Europe, I would go to a new city after 2 days, 3 days, something like that, you know, it's constantly on the move, and it's a lot of like new places you go. So now for me, I feel like this is the first time I've been able to take a fresh breath of air, you know.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know, it depends on the person, but like me personally, I like it kind of high tempo, you know, like meeting new people, all of this stuff, you know, constantly going to new locations. Like every time I would go to a new city, I would do like a 5-hour walk, 6 hours, something.
Right, just to like people and get used to the city, right?
Yeah, see like all the big sites, you know, like the famous buildings or whatever. and then just be able to be like, okay, now I don't have to do this anymore. Now I can take it easy and just relax, you know. And there is certainly like shocking how different some places can be. Like from, for example, when I went from Prague, which was this nice little like castle town where a lot of beer culture and stuff like that, to like Vienna, which was this huge like cultural hub, you know, with like Beethoven, you know, they were playing like orchestral music in the streets, you know, and you're still like hung over from the last bus trip, like from Prague, you know.
Which one is your favorite place? I mean, the country you love the most, which you have had like the most incredible experience of your life.
Oh, it's a lot of people who's gonna get mad at me for this one, that my friends and stuff
Don't
like
say
that.
Sweden. Don't say Sweden, right?
Maybe I say Sweden. No, I'm kidding. So, if I have to pick it down to one,
yeah.
So far, I would probably say, to be honest with you, Istanbul. Actually, maybe.
All right.
Like just the city itself, like because I only was in Istanbul at the time, but you know, I had such a great time there. Just like this old ancient city, you know, like Constantinople. Just like I'm a big history fan as well, you know, like so every time I go to some place, it's like I can see the real life places of that I've read about, and it's almost like I see the ghost of everything. Like the movie is like, oh, that's where he was, you know, like oh, this was where there's great big battle happen, you know, or whatever. Yeah. And like really stepping into the footprints of history, you know. I don't know, are you interested in history as well? Or?
Well, actually not that much. I mean, when I was in high school, I was like not really interested in history. Of course, I know history about Chile and that stuff, about Australia as well. I'm actually quite interested about Australia's history, you know, like Aboriginal people.
Yeah.
All the stuff, you know. I've been in the museum like twice. I went like 2 weeks ago to the museum, and it's quite interesting. You gotta go with me; it's free.
Oh, definitely, man. That sounds good.
But yeah. I actually like history about Europe, you know. And as I told you, I really want to go to Sweden. I would like to live there for a while. And I don't know what's happening next, but I would like to get there. What about like mental health? I mean, because, for example, when it's a little bit cloudy, a little bit rainy, I get not depressed, but I feel myself a little bit depressive, you know?
Well,
how do you deal with that?
I would say strong family and friend bonds, you know? Like, during winter time, I see the value of it in a way. Because, like, originally it would be, you have saved up all the food, like, that you've grown during summer and all that stuff, and you sit with your family then during winter, you know? Just like relax, like drinking some hot coffee or whatever, you know. Everybody's gathered around the living room. Just it's like a bear almost in a way. Like when they go into hibernation, like you don't, we go out of course, you know, but it's mainly just like the family group, like you're centered at home, you know, and you either because a lot of people like have fights in their family, you know, and all this stuff, and that would probably be like a nightmare to them, just being stuck there inside that kind of stuff, you know. But no, I think it makes it stronger in a way where you have to get along with people. You have to be able to like be with these people like nonstop for like a few months, you know, because like what other options do you really have? Of course, if you're living alone, you know, it's a different thing, but you would still have your friends over or whatever.
So how would you describe like the process, or actually the feeling of being far from home, for example, now, and being not able to hang up with your friends, not being able to be with your family? For example, Christmas. You're gonna be overseas on Christmas, right?
So like that is my main goal, where it's like I have to go home to Christmas.
Oh really? You wanna be at home at Christmas?
I have to get home or my mom's gonna kill me, you know. Like I've been gone for a long time now, you know. If I don't come, there won't be a next Christmas for me, you know.
Yeah.
But like talking about that with missing family and all that stuff, it's like it's a good time we live in where you have like they can send pictures and you can call them on like FaceTime, but it's never the same. Like I have 4 nephews and nieces, you know, and it's like not being able to see them like in these important stages when they're growing up, you know, it's definitely tough. Like just seeing them starting to talk more, you know, and be able to walk, you know, and you're not there for it. But at the same time, you know, you can't like force yourself and rely on too much, like chain yourself to all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because you have to think it's your life as well, you know, like you have
You have to build a family on your own.
Oh, no, not really that, but it's like you have to, like, you're only young once, for example. It's like,
yeah,
when I'm 30 and I have like kids and a wife and all this stuff, you know, like I won't be able to do the things I'm doing now. Like this trip, for example, would be like impossible almost, you know, like I can
to get here, it will be like 10,000 grand. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I ain't Bill Gates, you know, like I ain't got that money. But like, yeah, it's like, I would definitely recommend to everybody listening, it's like, if you're young, like, and you don't even have to be that young, you can be up into your 30s, whatever. But if you don't have like any major responsibilities, like maybe you have a job or whatever, but it's like, you're not a higher ranking office in there, you just do it, you know, like, what are you losing out on?
Actually, it's not hard to get to another country. People in Chile, I mean, I'm just talking about Chile because my audience is probably from Chile. If you want to get to, let's say, Australia or let's say Canada, it's not that hard. You just have to save some money. You have to buy the ticket, get insurance, get the visa, and get blah, blah, blah. But at the end, it's not a big deal, you know. I mean, as soon as you get to Australia, to Canada, yeah, that's like the main part of the process, you know, like start living on your own expenses, saving money, spending a lot of money, you know. But yeah, it's not that hard, and it's a huge experience that you're gonna remember like your whole life, you know. And for example, now we are in a podcast and we're talking about experiences overseas and that stuff. But yeah, you're gonna be able to learn more, to discover yourself. That sounds like kind of mystic, but yeah, you're gonna discover yourself a little bit more. And some people may feel like uncomfortable at the beginning, you know. Actually, how did you feel the first month after being overseas? Because the first month for me, dude, I was like going through a lot of anxiety. I was missing my family quite a lot, and I wasn't able to speak English at all. I was like, of course, I was able to communicate with each other, but dude, I was so frustrated at the beginning.
No, I definitely understand that, you know, like, I feel the first week I was kind of entranced, like, where I didn't think about it too much because, you know, you're there, you're going to different cities, occupying your mind. Yeah. But then when it started to slow down, you know, like, I just thought, I started like, because when you're traveling and you have like 8 hours, you have no other choice but to start self-reflecting in a way. You're locked in your head a lot of the times, you know. And those moments truly are what made me the strongest, because I like, you have to face it head on, like all of these things that you think about, like emotions, whatever, and and you realize it's like, I don't really need anything. Like, I don't need to own most of these stuff, you know. Like, a lot of people save up money to buy like some expensive shirt or whatever, you know, or shoes, but it's like, you could have used that money to gotten an experience, something that you will remember for your life. Like, when you're laying on your deathbed, will you think it's like, oh, I wish I bought more Gucci or whatever, or will you think it's like, I wish I just took a chance and just went for it, you know?
That's right, man. Yeah, before coming to Australia, I was like, if I had like, let's say $200, I was like, all right, how am I gonna spend those $200?
Yeah.
You know? And now I'm like, where can I go with $200?
Exactly, that's the mindset, you know. It's like, I compare, like, what really inspired me to do this trip was like Marco Polo.
All right.
The old traveler, you know. Like, I was reading his book and just all of this stuff. Like, it really encapsulated me. Like, just this guy, because it also rings close to home. Like, this European guy who's just like exploring the unknown East, you know, like that you only hear about all these crazy stories of what's going down there. It's like unknown in a way. So I was just like, I also want to do that. I want to jump into the void, like the unknown, and just like see if I can manage it. Like, many times I have doubted it, you know, where I've been like, I don't know if I can manage this for like another year or whatever. Like, I don't know if I can get money for this, you know. And
have you ever thought about coming back to Sweden?
It's definitely crossed my mind, you know, to be honest with you. But
same.
Every time I'm always like, because it's a voice in my head who's like, maybe you shouldn't do it or like whatever. But then I always have that stronger voice in my head. It's like, oh, you're going to give up? Oh, you're just going to quit? Is that what you're doing? Oh, hell no. We're going to carry on. Like, we got weight to carry here. Like, keep up, you know, like, keep moving on. Like, we cannot stop now. And I feel like everybody needs that. They need that self-motivation, because anybody can tell you, it's like, oh, you should do this. Oh, this should be good. But if you don't decide it on yourself, you know, then it will never happen. Like, you will crumble like a house of cards.
Yeah.
And also, I feel the harder the experiences you go through, like,
what's your hardest experience
while traveling? Ooh, that's a good question. Ooh, so like, I am kind of clumsy with like travel and a lot of that stuff, like booking airplanes and whatever. So before I left Europe and I was gonna head to Indonesia, I didn't have that much money left, you know. I was starting to run out, and I had this ticket booked to Qatar, and I messed up, you know. Like, I did my laundry like the day I left, and I arrived like half an hour or whatever to the airport before the airplane leaves. And they're telling me, it's like, oh, you will not make it for this. Like, you'll not make it. And I also panicked, because it was an expensive ticket to get to Asia from Europe. So I was just like, oh, just take my bag. Just like, and I'll try to run through it or whatever and see if I can make it. And then they hit me, it's like, oh, you need a return ticket, because you cannot just go into Indonesia. Like, they really did not want me on that flight. So I was just like, I was like, that was hitting.
But you didn't have the money.
I didn't have much money at all, you know, at that point, you know, like really running low. And I was just like, oh, how will I manage doing this stuff, you know? So I had to rebook that ticket, you know, like for next day, and get a new one for Australia as well, just to be able to like enter the country. So I spent about like, let's say, $900 or something like that on that, just to be able to fix this mistake. And I had to wait on the airport until it was about 2 p.m. at that time. And I had to wait overnight for like till 10 a.m. just to get the next flight. And then after that, I had to be like, wait another like 10 hours just in Qatar just to be able to catch the next one, you know. Just like a bunch of just stupid mistakes from my part, of course. There's nobody else's fault than mine. But it's like, at that point, I was just like, really starting to get doubts, you know. It's like, how will I manage in Bali, you know, with this? Like, I don't have that much money left, you know, like, and then I have to go to Australia, and yeah, it was a low point, truly, there. But look where I'm at right now, you know.
In a podcast.
Sitting here in a podcast, yeah, in Australia, you know.
Talking about that previous experience.
Yeah, we made it, you know, like, and after that, like, I learned from it. Like, I took the good, like, I like learning not to repeat it, you know. It's like, you cannot make the same mistake twice in the same way, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, without learning from it, you know. It's nothing bad about making mistakes, but if you keep repeating them, you know, that's where the real trouble is. Because you just, then it's just like you're stuck in this endless loop, you know, like you're not gaining any from it, you know. Like, even the lowest points can be like a great moment of wisdom, if you will, you know. Because I really, like, when I was stuck there for just hours and hours, you know, like just waiting, because that whole thing just to get to Indonesia took me about 3 days and I was just sitting thinking the entire time, just writing, you know, and all this stuff. And then, like, that's when I really like locked in place who I am mentally, you know. I knew what my goal was, I knew what my purpose was, you know, like, it gave me clarity, definitely.
So we had another problem with the battery. Yeah. But yeah, this is the first episode of second one. But I don't feel I'm comfortable, you know. This is my first time speaking with another person in a podcast, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to keep making content and that stuff. So yeah, I don't feel I'm comfortable. For example, now with the battery, I could be like, oh damn, no, the podcast is gonna be like perfect as I thought it was going to be. But dude, it's like traveling, you know. Yeah,
and it's like we talked about before, like, don't let bad things get in your way. Make the best out of everything, you know.
If the battery goes slow, just go there, replace it, come back and keep recording, man. That's it.
Always a solution.
Yeah.
I also, once again, want to thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been great, man.
No worries. Probably we're gonna meet in another episode. Probably could be maybe
a little tease.
It could be maybe in Sweden.
Oh yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe Chile as well.
Maybe Chile. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Well, we were talking about Wales, but actually I think we gotta go now.
Yeah, I think it's a good leaving point there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you guys are gonna be listening to the podcast like 2 hours, and that's not the goal. So. All right. So first try. This was the first time making this. I hope you like it, guys. Subscribe, of course, or hit that like button. But subscribe. That's really important for me. Yeah. So, all right, guys. See you later. This was Bini from Sweden, and hope to see you soon in a new video. Thank you. Ciao, ciao. Muchas gracias.